If you're a presentist like me, then the concept of now is important because the presentists say that now is the time that exists, the only time that exists. And if people then can argue that now is infinitely small, it seems that presentists have a problem. So that's the topic for this video. We'll start with an abstract definition first of the concept of now, and then we can discuss concrete measurements of how long now is afterwards. First, if we start with the concept, we can say that now is a transition from future to past, but how long is it then? It seems we can talk about something being 1 second into the future or past, or 0.1 second into the future past, or 0.000001 second into the future past, and then it seems you can make it infinitely small. But is it infinitely short, or does it have a finite length? It seems that we get a problem if it's infinitely small, and it's the same problem as we had in the video where we discussed how small is a metaphysical point of space, because if it's infinitely small, it seems to be nothing. How can it exist if it is nothing? If it's infinitely small, it must have some extension in order for it to be something. If we recall then how we dealt with that problem in the previous video, I said that a metaphysical point of space could be defined as the smallest area where a change can happen that it's metaphysically possible to register. So for any mind ever. Nothing smaller is going to be needed in any theory ever, because it cannot be registered by any mind. And then with this definition, you can get a maximally coherent theory. Future theory won't be more coherent if we have already covered the smallest possible change. We can then use the same solution for a metaphysical point of time. We can say that it is as long as it takes for the smallest possible change to occur. So metaphysically possible then for any mind to register. We will never need anything shorter than that. You could say, well, doesn't mathematics operate with equations where you have infinitely small points, continuous lines, etc. That is true, but it's also true that you can translate these into equation where the points are discrete and have a finite length and so when we're in the realm of mathematics, we are on the theoretical frameworks, but here we are discussing what is true and real, and then we need this philosophical or metaphysical definition of a metaphysical point of time, which we are now given. And then we can move on to discussing how long is then now, if this is the definition. Now we get the consequence that we can talk about different lengths for a metaphysical now, a physical now, and a conscious now, because it could be that the smallest metaphysical change is different than the smallest physical change and the smallest conscious change that we use to define then the smallest point of time in metaphysics and in physics and in consciousness. So let's talk a bit about that first. How long is a physical now then? In physics, they have defined something called the Planck length, which is 10 to the minus 35 meters, and Planck time, 10 to the minus 43 seconds, so 0.000 and then 43 decimals until 0.1 seconds. And these are then the shortest meaningful units of time and length according to physics today. They can't say anything meaningful about things happening at a smaller or faster rate than that. So the best estimate of a physical now is that it lasts for 10 to the minus 43 seconds. That may change in the future, of course, but that's not important for the theory. All the main aspects of the theory I'm presenting will be the same, even if we come to say that the physical now in the future is even shorter. When it comes to metaphysical now, we don't know. So Planck time is the best theoretical estimate, but future theories can show that it's even smaller or even shorter. When it comes to conscious now, we're talking about how long does it take before a change can happen in consciousness that it is possible to register. People do experiments on humans, and humans seem to be different, so the estimates range from 25 to 150 milliseconds. If we are looking for the smallest possible, it should be at the lower bottom of that range, but of course it could be other animals or other beings could have even shorter. So we don't know here either, but somewhere around 25 milliseconds is an estimate now. This may not be enough for you, of course. There are other questions to ask. Is something the real now, or what is the now of presentism? How are these different nows related to each other? We'll get to all that. This video was just a first presentation of some unpacking of the concept of now, different nows, how they relate to each other. And we'll get back to saying more about it later.